Our story begins with an old merchant named Nothing. He doesn't have a name, but he does have 3 daughters. He also has 3 sons, but they're irrelevant and might as well be dead for all the story cares. Actually, now that I think about it, 2 of the daughters might as well be dead too, because only one of them matters. Especially since her old man named her Beauty, which probably doesn't sit very well with ugly and smells bad. While Beauty stays home and reads books like a nerd, her sisters go out and do cool things like go to concerts and balls and parties of pleasure. I think we all know what that really means. Hardcore Scrabble action. Several quarters would come by asking for the various girls' hand in marriage. The 2 sisters refused on behalf of everyone being beneath them, and Beauty refused because she was far too young for marriage and wished to remain with her father for a few more years. Everything seems to be going pretty well in the merchant family, Beauty family. Problem: Mr. Merchant is kind of terrible at his job, seeing as how he spends all of his money on single shipments where all of the ships leave port at the same time. So when a storm comes along, he ends up losing everything. Now poor and destitute, the Beauty family has to move out to a cozy cottage in the countryside where they're able to afford dairy cows. Beauty, her father, and her 3 non-existent brothers all wake up early and spend their days working hard and contributing to society. The 2 sisters, on the other hand, wake up in the middle of the day, laze about the house eating food, and spend all of their time watching YouTube videos complaining about who the best waifu is on the internet. After about a year, the merchant receives a letter saying that one of his ships has arrived at port, and that all he had to do to claim it was to give the nice man at the docks his credit card information. Elated, the merchant set out, but not before asking if his daughters wanted anything. Not the sons, though, because screw those guys. The 2 daughters wanted new dresses and jewelry, and Beauty wanted just a single rose. That might seem like a selfless act, but it's the middle of winter. Beauty is sending her old man on an impossible task, Princess Kaguya style. Of course, when the merchant gets to the ship, it turns out to be a scam. He loses what little money he has and decides to go drown his sorrows in happy juice. The now very intoxicated merchant tries to head home, but the snow is coming down hard, and he is so drunk that he ends up crashing his horse into a castle. And that, children, is why you don't drink and horse. Inside the castle, the merchant finds a meal set out for an individual, and in his delirium caused by the cold and the alcohol, and having just rammed his head through a brick wall, decided that it must be for him. He eats all the food, drinks even more wine, and passes out from his solo partying. When he finally wakes up the next day, the merchant finds himself in a nice room wearing nice clothes, which means that either he can change his clothes while plastered, or someone is getting arrested. As the merchant is leaving the castle, he passes through a garden that's unaffected by the winter weather, and thinks to take a rose to show up Beauty, as well as show the other girls how little he truly cares about them. However, upon picking the rose, a hideous beast appears, and he's not happy. Not because the merchant crashed into his house, ate his food, and stole his clothes, but rather because Mr. Merchant took a flower. Really makes you think who the real monster is. Begging for his life, the merchant says that it's just a stupid rose for a stupid daughter. Then, the beast got an idea. He got an awful idea. He got a wonderful, awful idea. I'll steal Christmas! If you can convince this daughter of yours to die in your place to replace the rose you took from me, then I shall spare your life. And giving up a girl's life for a flower that you were going to give to said girl is just too good of an opportunity to give up. So the merchant agrees, and he even gets a nice chest of gold to boot. And also, in my messed up version of the story, he also has to get a new horse because the previous one is kind of broken. The father of the year gets on his horse and a few hours later is back home. Upon arrival, he gave Beauty the rose and informed her of her arranged marriage with Death. And while everyone is in a tizzy over their dad's questionable life decisions, Beauty, having the mental capacity of a geriatric sea slug, actually comes to defend her horrible father, sacrifice her own life to save the life of someone who literally just pawned her off to an actual monster. When Beauty and her father get to the Beast Castle, they find a feast laid out for them. I know the Beast doesn't really have much else going on, but I can't help but imagine that he's just constantly making food just in case guests come. After the meal, the Beast enters and the merchant leaves Beauty to her fate. But Beastie Boy is too tired to kill her tonight, so Beauty's execution will have to wait till the morning. The next morning, Beauty finds that she hasn't been eaten yet, and she is not having any of that. So she heads out to find someone who will eat her. While she's wandering around the castle, she finds a room labeled Beauty's apartment, which I guess makes the beast less of a lord and more of a landlord. Inside the Beauty's apartment is a massive library and a harpsichord, which is like a piano but sounds completely different. The first book she pulls out has a poem that addresses Beauty by name and tells her not to be afraid, which is paradoxically absolutely terrifying. Come supper time, the beast asks Beauty if he can watch her eat. Kinda creepy. To which Beauty says, "You are the ruler of this manor. You can do whatever you want." But you see, Beast is, as the kids say, mad simping for her, and gives her full ownership of the land that he rules.
Beauty, do you think I'm ugly?
Yes?
Yes, truly I am a stupid, silly, pathetic creature who doesn't deserve love.
That's not true. You're a very kind beast, and there are plenty of dogs that are ugly that people love. Like the pug. Who doesn't love a good pug?
You don't really get my kinks, do you?
The conversation continues in this awkward manner until Beauty has finished her meal. And as she gets up, the beast asks her one final question for the night.
Beauty, will you marry me?
No. We just met yesterday, and this is our first real conversation. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm underaged. 3 months later, and Beauty is growing pretty comfortable, except for one small problem. Every night after she finishes dinner, the beast asks her if she would marry him, which she probably would, if he just stopped asking her. I mean, it's not like he has much competition, seeing as how he's the only other person in the castle. But then again, that is a very sexy coffee table. Beauty brings up that she misses her family, for some reason, and asks if she could leave to see them again, just for a week. Beast agrees, but says if she stays a day longer, he will die. Somehow. When Beauty goes to bed that night, she's teleported back to her father's home. Unfortunately, she was brought over naked. Fortunately, Beast also teleported over a chest full of extravagant gowns. Unfortunately, it's in the next room. Fortunately, there's a bell on the nightstand next to the bed. Unfortunately, when the maid comes, she dies from shock at the sight of a complete stranger. Beauty's father also comes in and almost dies, but he's a tenacious old bastard and won't go down that easily. Beauty puts on one of the dresses and heads downstairs to meet the rest of her family. Turns out that in Beauty's absence, her sisters had gotten married and her brothers still didn't exist. Beauty tells everyone about the beast and that she can only stay for a week before the beast whinges himself to death. She also reveals that she can return by taking off a ring and going to sleep. This gives the sisters an idea. If they keep Beauty past the week she promised the beast, then he'll die, and their sister that they hate will be forced to move back in with them. Okay, it's not a very good plan, but that's the kind of thinking that one develops when raised by Mr. Sell Off a Daughter to a Literal Monster. And just how are the sisters who never showed affection towards Beauty going to keep her from leaving? Why, by being affectionate, of course. The weirdest thing is that Beauty doesn't detect any red flags from this. So she either hasn't been paying attention, or she's just really happy to be able to talk to someone different. It works, because of course it does. And Beauty agrees to stay another week. It's fine. It's not like someone's life hangs in the balance or anything. On the 10th day, she has a dream of the beast dying, and finally admits to herself that she was a closeted furry. She wakes up, takes off the ring, goes back to bed, and wakes up at the castle. There, she finds the beast doing exactly what he said he'd be doing. Dying.
Oh, you're here. I thought you had abandoned me.
No, Beast. I have come back, and I will marry you. Oh, Beauty said the magic word. And as a result, the whole castle goes crazy. We're talking lights, fireworks, music, strippers, the whole shebang, baby. And when Beauty looks back, she finds that her beast has been replaced by a normal man. Who are you, and what have you done to my beast? Behold, Beauty, it is I, Beast! What? The man reveals that he was turned into a beast by an evil fairy, and the only person who could free him from the curse was a beautiful maiden, which I guess means that one's attractiveness is objectively quantifiable. And then, out of nowhere, a beautiful lady pops in with Beauty's family. It's the evil fairy. Except she's not evil. This was all a test. Beauty's reward is that she gets to become queen, and her sisters get to become statues. But they continue to stay conscious, so that they can watch as Beauty lives a happy life? What the fuck? Are we sure this fairy isn't evil? Beauty, you just gonna let this chick do this to your own family? I thought you were supposed to be good and pure heart of something. Like, I get they were kinda dicks, but your inaction is condemning 2 women to a fate worse than death. And the father gets spared from anything. Clearly, there is no justice here. Well, at least Beauty is living happily ever after with a now reformed beast. However, due to having lived with the monster for so long, she's developed a strong obsession with the furry lifestyle. So now, the ruler formerly known as Beast must now wear a fursuit whenever in the presence of Beauty. The moral of the story is, don't sell your daughter for a rose.